My ex-wife left me when I lost my job, took half my savings, and called me dead weight. Now, she's crawling back after my $3.5 million lottery win. I'm 34 now, but the story really started when I was 28, married to my college sweetheart. We met when we were young, broke, and full of dreams. Back then, I thought she was my partner for life, someone who'd stick with me no matter what. We got married after college and had what looked like a happy life. I worked a decent job, and she stayed at home, calling herself the manager of the household. But honestly, she didn't do much managing. I worked hard to keep us comfortable. I wasn't rich, but I kept us afloat, paid the bills, saved what I could, even treated her to nice dinners and little vacations when I could afford it. She always wanted more. Bigger house, better car, expensive clothes. I tried to give her as much as I could, but there was always this underlying feeling that it wasn't enough for her. I ignored it for years because I loved her. When I was 32, my company downsized. I lost my job. I thought, all right, I'll find something new. It's not the end of the world. But to her it was. Suddenly, the woman who used to talk about building a future together was treating me like I was dead weight. She'd make snide comments like, maybe if you'd worked harder, you wouldn't have lost your job, or, I didn't sign up for this kind of struggle. I asked her to support me while I got back on my feet. I had savings, a plan, and a lot of determination. But she didn't want to wait. A few months into my unemployment, she told me she wanted a divorce. She said, I can't do this anymore. I need someone who's going somewhere, not someone stuck at the bottom. It was like all those years meant nothing to her. I tried to reason with her. I told her I was doing everything I could, and that I'd bounce back. I asked her to give it some time, but she wouldn't hear it. She said, I don't want to waste my prime years waiting for you to figure your life out. That's when I realized she'd never really loved me. She just loved the life I could provide. The divorce was a disaster. She wanted half of everything. Savings, furniture, the car. She even demanded the engagement ring back, which had been my grandmother's. Her reasoning? It's not like you're going to need it anymore, and I can sell it to pay off some of my debt. I refused. That ring wasn't just a piece of jewelry. It was part of my family. I locked it away in a safety deposit box so she couldn't get her hands on it. She called me spiteful and childish, but I didn't care. She walked away with half our savings, the car, and most of the furniture. I didn't fight her on most of it because I just wanted her gone. I was broke, starting from scratch, and trying to rebuild my life. Meanwhile, she moved on quickly, flaunting her new boyfriend on social media. That hurt, but I told myself it was better this way. Fast forward a year. I was working at a warehouse job, picking up freelance gigs on the side, and slowly climbing out of the hole she left me in. One night, I bought a scratch-off lottery ticket on a whim. I wasn't expecting anything, but when I scratched it, I realized I'd won $3.5 million. I couldn't believe it at first. I double-checked the ticket, called the lottery office, and even asked a coworker to look at it. It was real. After everything I'd been through, this felt like the break I desperately needed. I kept quiet at first, hired a financial advisor, and started planning how to use the money wisely. I bought a modest house, a new car, and set aside money for investments. Unfortunately, because of state laws, my win was announced publicly. That's when the drama started. My ex-wife texted me out of nowhere. Hey, hope you're doing well. Can we talk? I knew exactly why she was reaching out, so I ignored her. Then came more messages. I've been thinking about us a lot lately. I miss what we had. Can we meet up for coffee? When I didn't respond, she started showing up at my house. The first time, she stood on my doorstep with this fake sad smile and said, I just want to talk. I let her in because I wanted to see what she had to say. She started going on about how she'd made a mistake leaving me and that she'd been going through a lot of personal growth. I didn't appreciate you when we were together, she said. I was immature and selfish, but I've changed. I cut her off. So, let me get this straight. You didn't appreciate me when I was broke and struggling, but now that I have money, you suddenly want me back? That's not love, that's greed. She tried to argue, saying, it's not about the money. I've really been reflecting on my mistakes. I told her I didn't believe her and asked her to leave. Over the next few weeks, she kept trying. One day, she called me out of the blue and said, technically, I'm entitled to some of your lottery winnings since we were married for so long. I laughed and said, we've been divorced for 2 years. You have no claim to anything I've earned since then. She didn't like that answer, so she started reaching out to my family. She called my mom and told her, I just want to make things right with him. I know I hurt him, but I've changed. My mom shut her down, saying, you left him when he needed you most. Don't come crawling back now that he's doing well. Her final stunt was showing up uninvited to a party I was hosting for my friends and family. She walked in like she belonged there, grabbed a glass of wine, and started chatting with people like we were still together. I was furious but tried to stay calm. Then, in the middle of the party, she made a toast. Here's to second chances and realizing what truly matters, she said, looking directly at me. I couldn't let that slide. I stood up and said, actually, let's toast to dodging bullets and learning self-respect. Some people only come back into your life when they think they can get something out of it. But I'm not falling for it. The room went silent. She glared at me and muttered, you're being bitter and ungrateful. Then she stormed out. After that, I blocked her on everything. No more texts, no more calls, no more showing up at my house. My life has been peaceful since. I've focused on myself, my family, and the people who actually care about me. Winning the lottery didn't just give me financial freedom. It gave me the chance to leave her and all her drama in the past. I thought that was the end of it, but she wasn't done yet. A couple of weeks later, I got a letter in the mail from her lawyer. She was claiming that because we were married for nearly a decade, she was entitled to a portion of the lottery winnings as marital assets. Never mind that we'd been divorced for 2 years, or that the winnings came long after the split. I went straight to my lawyer, who assured me her claim didn't have a leg to stand on. The winnings weren't marital assets. They were mine, plain and simple. My lawyer sent a response to her legal team, basically telling them to stop wasting everyone's time. A few days after that, I saw her outside my house again. She wasn't knocking or ringing the bell, just standing in her car staring at my front door. When I walked out to ask her what the hell she was doing, she rolled down her window and yelled, you're so selfish. You have all this money, and you won't even help the person who stood by you for years. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because of the sheer audacity of her statement. I walked up to her car and said, you didn't stand by me. You abandoned me when I needed you most. You don't get to rewrite history just because you want a piece of my success. Now leave, or I'm calling the police. She drove off, but I knew she wasn't going to give up so easily. A few weeks later, I was out grocery shopping when I ran into one of her old friends. She stopped me and said, I heard you won the lottery. Your ex told me she's been helping you through the whole process. That's amazing. You two must really be reconnecting. I almost choked on the water I was drinking. I told her, we're not reconnecting. She's been harassing me for weeks, trying to get her hands on my money. Her friend looked shocked and said, that's not what she's been telling people. She said you've been talking about getting back together, and that you're even helping her with her finances. That was the final straw. I didn't just want her out of my life. I wanted to make sure everyone knew the truth. I called up a mutual acquaintance who was still friends with both of us and told them everything. The texts, the uninvited visits, the fake lawyer claims. Word spread quickly, and soon everyone in our old social circle knew what she'd been up to. Apparently, it got back to her because I got one last text from her. It said, you're so petty. You couldn't just let me explain myself? You had to go and ruin my reputation too. I didn't bother responding. Instead, I forwarded the text to my lawyer just in case she tried anything else. Since then, I haven't heard from her. I've moved on, and I'm finally living the life I worked so hard to build. And the irony? That bigger, better life she left me to chase? Last I heard, her boyfriend dumped her. She lost her job, and she's living with her parents again. Meanwhile, I'm happier and more secure than I've ever been. I guess some people never learn.